It's being reported that Hamas has agreed to a new ceasefire proposal from mediators. Under the deal, around half of the Israeli hostages would be freed from Gaza in return for Israel releasing Palestinian prisoners. The potential breakthrough follows negotiations between Hamas and Egyptian and Qatari officials. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu released a video shortly after this news broke. In it, he described Hamas as being under massive pressure, but didn't comment on the proposal itself. Well, let's head to our correspondent, Felix Tamzut in Jerusalem. Welcome back, Felix. What else can you tell us about this reported ceasefire proposal?
Well, according to reports, we're talking about a very similar offer to the one suggested by the U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff. We're talking about a 60-day ceasefire in Gaza, and at the same time, we're talking about the release of 10 Israeli hostages that are alive, as well as 18 Israeli hostages that are no longer alive. We are also talking about a situation in which Hamas has been facing lots of pressure from the mediators, from Hamas and from Egypt and Qatar, to seal a deal, given the fact that Israel's operation in Gaza City seems to be looming. And this is all playing a role in the background of these talks. It remains to be seen what Israel says about this proposal.
Right. So, does this mean, I mean, this all looks quite positive. Does this mean we are getting closer to a ceasefire deal?
It's definitely an important step. At the same time, it needs to be said that while Israel previously, or the Israeli government rather, previously spoke about a partial deal, then changed its rhetoric to demanding a full deal, similar to what the protesters in Israel demand, which includes all of the Israeli hostages and a potential end to the war in Gaza. Now Hamas seems to be more interested of this partial deal, and Israel said it would be ready for such a deal under certain circumstances, according to reports in Israel. It remains to be seen how such a stance will be accepted here in Israeli society. Israeli protesters have been demanding a full deal which would bring all of the hostages home, even at the price of ending the war, and this demand stays relevant also when it comes to the negotiations as we speak.
So what sort of response are we likely to get then from the Israeli government?
Well, at the moment, we haven't seen any reports about the tendency of the Israeli government in regards to this new offer. But at the same time, we have seen some movement, some Israeli reports that the government is set to discuss this offer. We've seen Israeli Minister Ron Dermer flying to the Emirates for talks, one of the closest people to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. We are bound to see some movement in this direction sooner rather than later, according to Israeli reports, even before the weekend.
And you talked about the protests that there have been in the last few days. What's been the public reaction to this latest news?
Generally speaking, the general movement of the hostage families, which represents the absolute majority of hostage families, not all of them, but a very large majority of them, has been constant in their demand for what they call a full deal, a deal which would include every single Israeli hostage held in Gaza. We have 50 of them, as we know. Some 20 of them are estimated to be alive. At the same time, I think every single progress in the negotiations is something that's being seen positively. And I think also when it comes to the Israeli public, there's the hope of the release of mostly the living hostages as soon as possible.
Thanks for that, Felix. Felix Tamzut in Jerusalem.